Good morning. Okay, for today's lecture, we are going to study the tourist security and the tour guide. So by the end of this topic, learners shall be able to discuss different forms of crime tourists fall victim of while at destination attractions, understand why visitors are often susceptible to crime during their visits, describe ways by which tourists can become victims of their own decisions at destinations, and the last, discuss the roles played by the tour guide towards ensuring tourist security while at destination. Okay, so introduction to tourists and crime. So tourism is a unique industry in that it is the world's largest industries and also the world's least protected industries. Okay, so for most of human history, travel was hard work and often torturous as travelers encountered robbers and kidnappers who often ruled the nights and pirates, stealing both goods and person. Okay, now in this unit, we shall discuss two types of crime and how the tour guide may intervene. Okay, now number one is crimes committed against the tourist. Okay, so ano ni siya ang crimes committed against the tourist? So these are specific crimes that targets visitors. From the criminal's perspective, these people have a parasitic business relationship with the tourism industry. Without tourists, there can be no crime against tourists. So the criminal in this case needs the tourism industry to succeed. Where there are no tourists, there cannot be tourism crimes. And then ang number two is the collateral crime. So these are local crimes that have no relationship with tourism but spill over into the tourism industry. The spillover effect may be due to tourists being in the wrong place at the wrong time, or the crime giving an impression that the local is unsafe, thus discouraging visitors. Okay, now, let's say, for example, Dere, we have our crime, right? So it's divided into two. So we have the against tourists. So crimes by locals against tourists. So if you're a tourist, let's say visiting Europe, for example, you may encounter crimes nga ginobra or ginaobra sang locals against the tourists. And we also have crimes by tourists against tourists. Now, ano ini? We have the pickpocketing, which is very common, robbery, mugging, assault, drugging, rape, murder, and kidnapping. For the collateral crimes naman, crimes by locals against other locals. So, these are example of the crimes nga sometimes gakatabo sa isa ka destination. Thus, ang isa ka country sometimes naga-issue sang do not travel warning sa ilang mga citizens, especially if there are what? Sa gakatabo subong, let's say for example sa Myanmar, they have the civil unrest, terrorism, political unrest, violent protest, genocide, or mga kudita. So these are crimes sa isa ka destination or isa ka country nga pwede madalahig ang isa ka turista when the tourist is there, or sometimes the tourist is attending such activities and then suddenly may nag-occur nga mga violence, for example. Okay. Now, sa Dalom, although crimes against tourists have a direct relationship with tourism and impact on tourists directly, collateral crimes, on the other hand, may not have direct relationship with tourists but can impact on tourism directly through tarnishing the image of a destination. Okay, so hindi iya na example for for example nga kun ara da siya sa ila na gid na yang crime. However, these are crimes nga sometimes are against the tourists. Okay? Okay, so why tourists are target of crime? Okay, so ano ang mga reason nga sometimes ang turista target sila sa mga crimes, especially kung ara ikaw sa isa ka destination outside of your country of origin. Okay, now for example, so ang isa sa reason nga ang mga turista are target of crimes what? Ang mga turista, they carry much portable wealth. So anong ila ginadala? May dala sila yung mga kwarta, be it in the local currency or sometimes dollars. They bring also camera, cellphone, jewelry. Now, target gid na sila nga aman balaan sang locals. If you are a tourist, di syempre damo kaya dala nga kwarta or may mga gadget kaya. So it's like ginapakita daw balaan nga daan nila nga okay turista ini daw dako gid ang pwede naton makuha sa iya. So isa ina sa reason. Number two, they are short staying and transient. So meaning ano sini ang short staying and transient? So often they have multiple destinations. This means that they may not even notice that they have lost something of value, and when noticed, may not have an idea as to whether the object was stolen or lost. Nga, transferring from one destination to another, especially kung multiple destination ang imo nga kadtuan. Number three, they are unfamiliar with crimogenic hotspots. Okay, so especially they often lack proper details about their destination and places. Wala sila kabalo kung diin dira ang mga area nga damo gali may nagatambay nga addict or damo may nagatambay nga hold upper. Wala kabalo ang mga turista because it's their first time to visit in that area. And number four, they are less likely to report crimes or return as witnesses nga aman. For example, gin-hold up ikaw or something happened to you. And then hindi ka pa kabalo sang local language. Okay? So hindi mo ma-report sa police. You will be needing a translator. However, you only have 2 days to stay. So sometimes ang mga turista, ginapabayaan na lang nila. Sige na lang, buy-in na lang ang kwarta. Pero amo na, sometimes magbalik sila. Hindi na sila magbalik it's because they had a bad experience. Okay? So may ara sila sang bad experience nga hindi na nila gusto magbalik pa. Okay, so these are some of the reason nga aman nga ang turista is very prone sa mga criminal activities nga pwede nila ma-experience sa isa ka destination. Okay, now let's continue. Sometimes mga turista also they often ignore caution. Ginahambala na sila sa ila tourist guide niya. Okay, hindi ka mo di guys magkadto ha. Whatever happens, do not go to this area because this is not safe for tourists. So out of curiosity, nagakadto sa sige lang itry ta lang, hindi pa naguro pagtandugon because mga turista kita, but they are actually wrong. Okay? So usually ang mga turista nga wala sang knowledge, amo gid ni sometimes ang gina-target sa mga criminal-minded nga mga locals. Okay, number 6, they often assume where they are visiting is safe. Sometimes ila ginapanundom nga ang ila ginakadtuan always are safe. That's why they often let their guard or lower their level of inhibitions. Okay. Now, since travelers are on a schedule, they often lower the standards of security and safety for the sake of staying within a specific time frame. Next is they lack professional travel knowledge. And number 8, they do not know what to do when faced with difficult situation. Okay, continue. Another one is ang ostentatious behavior of tourists. Okay. However, in some instances, tourists become victims by their own decision to pursue risky and illicit activity. Okay, now, ano ini ang mga activities nga sometimes ang nagadalaman sa crime is the tourists themselves. Another example, for example, is drug use at tourist destination. Okay, failing to respond to local customs, engaging with prostitutes and call girls, call boys, excessive consumption of alcohol while at the destination, carrying large amount of money, having desired items such as jewelry and cameras. Okay? Now, travel to areas of the local in which they are unfamiliar without a guide, and differentiation in dressing and use of foreign accent or languages. So, amo naman niya ang mga sample sang mga activities nga pwede ang turista mismo ang nagadala sa ilang kaugalingon. Okay? You are not allowed to use or it's illegal to use illegal drugs sa isa ka country, pero ikaw out of curiosity, ginoferan ikaw, nag-intra ikaw, gindala ikaw sa isa ka area, and then pagkatapos, ang babae ginpainom, gindrag na rape. Okay? Another one is ang mga sexual activities. Okay? Mahappy-happy ikaw, ngita ka for example lalaki or babae, and then suddenly kali ang nakuha mo yung masahista is a hold-upper. So that is some sort of mga activities, mga risky behaviors sa mga turista nga pwede magdala sa ila sa what? Sa mga criminal-minded individual sa ilang mga destination. Another one is carrying a large amount of money. Balaan mo man nga you are a tourist, hindi ikaw kabalos ang pasikot-sikot dira, pero ikaw you don't mind. Ginadala mo gid tanan mo yang kwarta, which is very prone ina sa mga hold-uppers or mga pickpockets. Okay? Pagdala or pagpakita sa mga jewelry, pagpakita sa mga cameras nga you think is very very masilaw sa mata sa mga iban niya mga criminal-minded. Kaya ang mga criminals, hindi malang local, sometimes may mga foreign criminals man sa foreign countries. I have experienced such on a personal level. Okay? Now, ano ang mga pwede obrahon sang tour guide as an intervention to prevent tourist crimes? Okay? So ano ang mga roles ng tour guide as a tour guide to prevent this tourist crime? Okay, so the tourist guide has a role to play amongst other personnel accompanying tourists to ensure prevention of security risks to visitors. So these roles include the following. Number one, offering adequate safety and security information to tourists at the outset of an itinerary so that they are alert for their own safety. So before pa mag-start ang tour, daw naghahatag na sang briefing sa mga guest, naghahatag na sang briefing sa mga tourist nga, okay guys ha, ang kadtuan naton dire is amo sining area, hindi gid maiwasan ang pickpocket or ang crime, so please mind your own pocket, hindi magdala sang damo gid nga cash, and then if possible iput ninyo or ibutang ninyo ang inyong nga cash sa lain-lain ninyo nga bulsa. And then place your bag in front of you instead of using backpack. Okay. Another one is issuing visitor tips at stops that may range from warnings about dangerous city spots and petty crime hazards such as what? Such as pickpocketing. Number three, providing the tourists with information of attraction that will ensure they are appraised of the cultural sensitivities and the do's and don'ts of destinations. Okay. Now, another one is to keep a close eye contact or close eye on the group movement by maintaining a favorable pace that allows the tour guide account for each member of the group and avoid dubious neighborhood. So pwede man na during the tour, medyo hinay-hinay lang maglakad para kitaon tanan, and then ang tour guide ginatipon niya ang tanan nga mga iya sinakpan or ang iya nga mga guest. Okay? By means of counting or by means nga paglantaw kung diin nagakadto ang iya nga mga guest. Okay? Now, another one is to coordinate the day's itinerary with guards, to tourist police or local law enforcement authorities to provide assistance and protection from theft and harassment. Okay? Because it is the role of the tour guide to inform the police or ang others nga may ara sila dala nga mga tourist guide that whatever happens, possible yang nga mabuligan sila sa mga police. Okay. And then the last one, when material loss occurs to a tour member, ang tour guide should help, okay, should help in handling the crime and then at the same time reporting it to the police. Okay. In case of damage to luggage or loss of property in hotels by handlers, The tour guide must report the damage in order for any negligent handling that may have occurred to be discovered and appropriate remedial action undertaking. Also, ang travel insurance can be very useful again when you are traveling. And the last, the tourist guide may also become a witness in criminal proceeding as he or she had been accompanying the tourist throughout the tour, thus able to provide a reliable testimony crucial for verdicts to be made. Okay, so in a nutshell, importante gid nga naga-enjoy ikaw while you are on tour, but of course guiding also the safety of the tourist. And that is the role of the tour guide nga makapuli ang imo mga guest nga wala sang malain nga natabo sa ila or wala sila sang na experience nga malain para nga magbalik sila or ila i-refer ang destination sa ila pa mga friends or family.